The stars looked different this far from Earth. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, watching the view screen as their diplomatic vessel approached the meeting coordinates. His hands rested calmly on the console, though his heart beat faster than usual. This was it, humanity's first official meeting with an alien civilization. "Contact in 30 minutes, Commander," said Claire Bennett from her station. She was their best diplomatic officer, handpicked for this mission. Her voice stayed steady, professional. Jake appreciated that. They all needed to stay calm for what was coming. Peter Hayes looked up from the tactical console. "Sir, I'm picking up multiple energy signatures ahead. Big ones." He adjusted his screens, his fingers moving quickly. 12 ships, each one measuring over 3 kilometers in length. Jake nodded slowly. Intelligence had warned them that Calrathi liked to make an impression. Still, seeing it on sensors was different from reading reports. "Show me." The view screen shifted. Jake heard Claire take a sharp breath beside him. Even Peter, who rarely showed emotion, went quiet. The Calrathi battleships floated in perfect formation against the darkness of space. They were massive, dwarfing the horizon's edge like whales next to a minnow. Their hulls gleamed with polished metal that caught the light from distant stars. Energy shields rippled across their surfaces in waves of blue and purple, beautiful and terrible at the same time. "They want us to be afraid," Claire said quietly. "Probably," Jake agreed. "Let's not give them the satisfaction." The communication system crackled to life. A face appeared on the screen, reptilian features with golden eyes that seemed to look right through them. The alien wore elaborate armor decorated with symbols Jake didn't recognize. "I am Admiral Vectar of the Calrathi Dominion," the alien said. His voice was deep, each word carefully pronounced. "You are the representatives of Earth?" Jake stepped forward. "Commander Jake Morrison, United Earth Diplomatic Corps. We're honored to meet you, Admiral." Vectar's mouth curved into something that might have been a smile. It wasn't friendly. "Honored? Yes, I'm sure you are." He gestured and the screen split. Images began playing beside his face. Cities burning, ships exploding, planets surrendering. "The Calrathi Dominion has brought order to 17 star systems," Vectar continued. "We have advanced technology, powerful weapons, undefeated fleets." He paused, letting the images of destruction play. "Your single ship is charming, like a toy for children to play with." Peter's jaw tightened. Claire's hands formed fists at her sides. But Jake kept his expression neutral. Getting angry was what Vectar wanted. "We appreciate you taking the time to meet with us," Jake said calmly. "Earth is new to interstellar diplomacy. We have much to learn." "Indeed you do." Vectar leaned forward. "Let me educate you. The galaxy operates under certain rules. Strong civilizations lead. Weak civilizations follow. Earth will submit to Dominion oversight. You will provide resources. Follow our laws. Accept our guidance." "That's quite a proposal," Jake said. "I'll need to discuss it with my government." Vectar laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "Discuss? There is nothing to discuss. You see our fleet? You see what we have accomplished. Earth has one option: surrender peacefully and prosper under our protection, or resist and be conquered." Claire stepped forward, her diplomat training taking over. "Admiral, surely there's room for negotiation. Perhaps a trade agreement or cultural exchange." "Your position is not one that allows for negotiation," Vectar interrupted. "You have 48 of your Earth hours to deliver your government's acceptance. If you refuse..." The screen showed another planet, its orbital defenses being torn apart by Calrathi weapons. "We have done this before. We will do it again if necessary." Jake met the Admiral's golden eyes. "We'll deliver your message. But I should warn you, Admiral. Humanity doesn't respond well to threats." "Threats?" Vectar seemed genuinely amused. "I make no threats, Commander. I simply explain reality. Your species has built one diplomatic vessel and sent it to meet with us. We brought 12 battleships. The mathematics are simple even for a primitive species." "We'll be in touch," Jake said. Horizon's edge out. The screen went dark. For a long moment, nobody on the bridge spoke. Finally, Peter broke the silence. "Sir, did we just get ourselves into a war?" Jake turned to look at his crew. Claire looked worried. Peter looked angry. The other officers watched him, waiting for guidance. "Maybe," Jake admitted, "but that was going to happen whether we were polite or not. The Calrathi came here to intimidate us into submission. They think we're weak. We are weak, Claire said, compared to them. Jake, those ships could destroy every orbital station we have. You saw the footage. They've conquered 17 worlds. I saw it, Jake agreed. He walked to the view screen where the Calrathi fleet still hung in space, proud and powerful. But I also saw something else. Peter, did you notice their formation? Peter called up the tactical data. Standard parade formation. Maximum visibility, minimum tactical efficiency. Exactly. They're showing off, not preparing for battle. Jake turned back to his crew. And did you notice Vectar's reaction when I said we needed to consult our government? He seemed surprised. Genuinely surprised that we didn't immediately surrender. Claire frowned, thinking, because other species did? Because other species did, Jake confirmed. The Calrathi are used to winning through intimidation. They show up with their big ships and their fancy shields and civilizations fold. It's worked 17 times, so what do we do? Peter asked. Jake smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. We go home and tell Earth exactly what the Calrathi said, and then we let our government decide how to respond. You think they'll fight? Claire asked. I think, Jake said slowly, that the Calrathi are about to learn something important about humanity. We've been fighting each other for 10,000 years. We know war. We've studied it, refined it, perfected it. These aliens conquered 17 civilizations that probably never imagined such violence. He pulled up Earth's file on human military history. Wars. Thousands of them. The screen filled with data about weapons development, tactical evolution, strategic thinking refined through centuries of conflict. The Calrathi think their 12 pretty battleships make them powerful. Jake continued. They think showing up with superior numbers is enough. But they've been at peace for 30 years. Their last conquest was against a civilization that barely had spaceflight. Peter's expression changed as he understood. They don't know what they're dealing with. No, Jake agreed. They don't. Set course for Earth, best speed. The Council needs to hear about this immediately. As the horizon's edge turned toward home, Jake took one last look at the Calrathi fleet. They hung there in space, confident and proud, certain of their superiority. He almost felt sorry for them. Almost. Because humanity was about to teach the Calrathi Dominion a lesson they would never forget. The universe had many strong civilizations, many advanced technologies, many impressive fleets. But only one species had spent its entire existence perfecting the art of war, and Admiral Vectar had just threatened them. The emergency session of the United Earth Council began exactly 4 hours after the Horizon's Edge docked at Luna Station. President Linda Walsh sat at the head of the massive circular table, looking at the faces of representatives from every nation on Earth. The room buzzed with worried conversations. Order, Linda said firmly. The room fell silent. Commander Morrison has delivered his report. We have 44 hours remaining to respond to the Calrathi ultimatum. The floor is open for discussion. Ambassador Victor Lang stood immediately. He was a tall man with gray hair and a reputation for caution. Madame President, the choice seems clear. We cannot fight an empire that has conquered 17 worlds. We should accept their terms and negotiate for the best conditions possible. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Victor continued. The Calrathi have technology we don't understand. Shields we can't penetrate. Weapons we've never seen. Resistance would be suicide. Suicide. Fleet Admiral Greg Turner stood up. He was shorter than Victor, built like a bulldog with scars on his hands from years of military service. You want to talk about suicide? Try living under alien occupation. Ask those 17 conquered worlds how well submission worked for them. At least they're alive, Victor shot back, are they? Greg pulled up a holographic display. Images appeared above the table, showing Calrathi-controlled worlds. Populations relocated, resources stripped, cultures erased. This is what Dominion oversight looks like. They don't want partners. They want slaves. Linda raised her hand for silence. Admiral Turner, what are our military options? Can we defend Earth? Greg smiled. It was the smile of a man holding a very good hand of cards. Madam President, I'd like to introduce Dr. Helen Cross, our chief ship designer. A woman in her 50s stood up, pulling up technical displays. Thank you, Admiral. Members of the Council, I want to show you something the Calrathi don't know about. The hologram shifted, showing sleek, angular ships. These are our warships. We have 412 of them. The room erupted. Victor nearly fell out of his chair. 400? We were told Earth had only defensive satellites and patrol craft. We lied, Greg said bluntly. For security reasons, every nation contributed to this fleet. We've been building in secret for 20 years, ever since we detected the first alien signals. We hoped for peace but prepared for war. Helen continued her presentation. Kalrathi battleships are impressive. Big, powerful, covered in shields. But they're designed for intimidation, not efficiency. Our ships are smaller, faster, and much harder to detect. We use stealth technology the Kalrathi don't have. She pulled up comparison charts. A Kalrathi battleship is 3 kilometers long and carries approximately 200 weapons. Our heavy destroyers are only 800 meters, but they carry 300 weapons with faster firing rates and better targeting systems. But they're shields, Victor protested. How do we get through their shields? Danny Price, the intelligence officer, stood up. He was young, barely 30, but his eyes were sharp. We've studied the footage from Commander Morrison's meeting. Kalrathi shields are strong against energy weapons, yes, but they're designed to stop the kind of attacks they're familiar with. Slow-moving projectiles. Predictable patterns, he grinned. They've never faced railguns. They've never seen AI-guided missiles that can think for themselves. They've never dealt with electronic warfare that can hack their systems through their own sensor arrays. Linda leaned forward. Are you saying we can win? I'm saying, Greg replied carefully, that the Kalrathi have been fighting civilizations that never really understood war. Not the way we do. Earth spent 10,000 years fighting itself. We've had world wars, nuclear standoffs. We've thought about every possible way to kill each other, and then thought about how to defend against those ways. He pulled up historical records, human conflicts, strategies, weapons evolution. The Kalrathi conquered 17 worlds over 200 years. Sounds impressive, right? But look at the timeline. Each conquest took them years because they've never developed fast strike doctrine. They show up, intimidate, and slowly grind down resistance. Humans don't fight like that, Helen added. We've studied their battles. They're ceremonial, almost ritualistic. They give warnings. They position their big ships where everyone can see them. It's about honor and display. We fight to win, Greg said flatly. No honor. No ceremony. Just victory. Victor still looked unconvinced. Even if we could win a battle, they have an empire. Resources. Reinforcements. We're one planet. One planet that builds things faster than any civilization they've encountered, Danny said. He pulled up production statistics. Our shipyards can construct a new destroyer in 6 weeks. The Kalrathi take 4 months to build a battleship. In a long war, we outproduce them. Linda looked around the table. What are you proposing, Admiral? Greg's expression became serious. I propose we show the Kalrathi what human warships really look like. Not a battle. A demonstration. We invite them to witness our fleet capabilities. They'll think we're bluffing, Victor said. Good, Greg replied. Let them think that. Right up until we drop stealth and they see 400 ships appear out of nowhere around their fleet. The room went quiet. The implications sank in. Linda drummed her fingers on the table, thinking. This is a tremendous risk. If we show them our full strength and they still decide to attack, then we destroy their fleet before they can report back, Greg said. But I don't think it will come to that. The Kalrathi respect strength. Right now, they think we're weak. Once they see what we really have, they'll reconsider. Or they'll bring their entire empire down on us, Victor warned. They might, Greg admitted. But consider this. Every one of those 17 conquered worlds is watching, waiting to see what happens with Earth. If we submit, we confirm that the Kalrathi are unbeatable. But if we stand up to them, if we show them that humanity won't be intimidated. Danny picked up the thought. Then those 17 worlds start wondering why they submitted. The Kalrathi Empire is built on fear. Once that fear breaks, the whole structure becomes unstable. Linda stood up, walking to the window that showed Earth below, the blue planet, peaceful and beautiful, home to 8 billion people who had no idea their world stood on the edge of everything changing. We came so far, she said quietly. Stopped fighting each other, united under one government, reached for the stars. And now the first aliens we meet want to conquer us. She turned back to the council. I won't let that happen. I won't sell humanity's freedom because we're afraid. Admiral Turner, you have authorization to proceed with your demonstration. Show the Kalrathi what happens when they threaten Earth. Greg nodded. We'll need Commander Morrison and his team. They established first contact. They should be there for what comes next. Agreed. Linda said. How long do you need to prepare? The fleet is already in position, Greg said. We just need to send the Calrathi our invitation. Linda smiled. It was a cold smile, the smile of a leader who had just made a decision that would change history. Then let's invite them to Jupiter orbit. Give them the best view possible. Victor stood up one more time. Madam President, I must formally object to this course of action. The risk is noted and recorded, Linda said. But the decision is made. Humanity will not surrender without showing what we're capable of. If the Calrathi want to see our warships, we'll show them our warships. She looked around the room. This session is adjourned. Admiral, begin your preparations. Commander Morrison, work with diplomatic staff to craft our response. Make it polite. Make it firm. And make sure the Calrathi understand that we're not afraid. As the council members filed out, Greg approached Linda. You know this could start a war? I know, she said. But submitting would just postpone it. Better to face them now on our terms than wait for them to strike when we're unprepared. The fleet won't let you down, Greg promised. Linda looked out at Earth again. I know. Now let's show these aliens why you don't threaten humanity. Admiral Vector read the human response 3 times, certain he was missing something. The message was polite, almost apologetic. Earth respectfully declined to submit to Dominion oversight. Instead, they invited the Calrathi fleet to witness a demonstration of human defensive capabilities near Jupiter. They challenge us? His tactical officer, Ralthos, looked confused. With what? They have 1 diplomatic ship. Vector studied the message again. Something felt wrong. The humans weren't panicking, weren't begging for mercy. They were inviting him to watch them show off their military. Perhaps it is a cultural gesture, Ralthos suggested, a symbolic resistance before inevitable surrender. Perhaps, Vector said slowly, but he didn't believe it. Still, refusing the invitation would look like cowardice, and the humans had chosen a location far from Earth. If this was some kind of trick, he had time to withdraw. Assemble the fleet, he ordered. 25 battleships. We will attend this demonstration, and we will broadcast it across the Dominion. Let all our world see what happens to those who refuse our authority. Captain Ryan Scott stood on the bridge of the UES Valiant, watching his crew perform final checks. His ship was a heavy destroyer, one of Earth's newest designs. Around him, 11 other vessels held position in Jupiter's orbit waiting. Nervous, Captain? Amy Jordan asked from the weapons station. She was young for her position, but her scores in the academy had been perfect. Terrified, Ryan admitted with a smile. We're about to either prevent a war or start one. No pressure. Chris Palmer, the navigation officer, looked up from his console. Calrathi fleet dropping out of faster than light in 30 seconds. 25 ships. They brought more than last time. They want to impress us, Ryan said. Amy, are all weapon systems ready? Ready and waiting, sir. Railguns charged? Missile tubes loaded. Electronic warfare suite online. Good, remember, nobody fires unless I give the order. This is a demonstration, not a battle. The view screen lit up as the Calrathi fleet emerged from their jump. They came in perfect formation, their massive battleships gleaming in the light from Jupiter. Energy shields rippled across their hulls like water, beautiful and menacing. Ryan heard someone whistle softly. They really are impressive. Pretty, Ryan agreed. Amy, how effective would our weapons be against those shields? Amy ran quick calculations. At close range with armor-piercing rounds, we'd punch through in 3, maybe 4 shots. Their shields are designed to disperse energy, not stop kinetic impacts. The communication system activated. Vector's face appeared, golden eyes gleaming with confidence. Humans, we have arrived to witness your defensive demonstration. Please show us these capabilities that convinced you to refuse Dominion protection. Ryan stood straight. Admiral Vector, thank you for accepting our invitation. We're honored by your presence. Begin your display. Vector said dismissively. Behind him, Ryan could see other Calrathi officers watching screens, probably broadcasting this across their empire. Of course, Ryan said pleasantly. We'll start with a simple targeting exercise. Chris launched target drone. A small object shot away from the Valiant, accelerating rapidly. It began moving in random patterns, zigging and zagging through space. Admiral, could your sensors track that drone? Ryan asked. On the view screen, Vector nodded to someone off-screen. We have acquired the target. It is fast for its size. Good, Ryan said. Now watch carefully. All ships fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1 mark. 6 human ships fired simultaneously. Railgun rounds screamed through space at incredible velocity. Missiles launched, their engines burning bright. The target drone, still moving unpredictably, never had a chance. The weapons converged from multiple angles. Railgun rounds arrived first, punching through the drone's armor. Milliseconds later, missiles struck the debris, vaporizing what remained. Total time from launch to destruction, 1.7 seconds. Ryan watched Vektar's expression change. The alien admiral's eyes widened slightly. His tactical officer was speaking urgently, probably reporting that Kalrathi targeting systems couldn't match that speed. Adequate, Vektar said, but his voice had lost some of its confidence. For training purposes. That was just a warm-up, Ryan said. Let me show you something more interesting. Chris, activate the fleet. Activating now, sir. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to change. Contacts began appearing on sensors, dozens of them, hundreds of them. Ships materialized out of nowhere, surrounding the Kalrathi fleet in a perfect sphere, 388. Human warships dropped their stealth systems simultaneously. They had been there all along, invisible, waiting, close. Enough to fire before the Kalrathi could react. Ryan watched. Vektar's face go pale. The alien admiral was staring at something off-screen. Probably his tactical display showing hundreds of human vessels that hadn't existed seconds before. You hid your fleet? Vektar's voice was barely controlled. We did, Ryan confirmed. Human stealth technology is very advanced, Admiral. Your sensors never detected us. We've been in position for 6 hours. Ralthos was shouting something in the Kalrathi language. Vektar held up a hand for silence, but Ryan could see the fear in those golden eyes. The Admiral was doing math, calculating odds, realizing his 25 battleships were surrounded by a force 16 times larger. This is a trick, Vektar said. Sensor ghosts, projections. Amy, please demonstrate that our ships are quite real, Ryan said. From her station, Amy activated a pre-programmed sequence. Every human ship in the fleet fired their maneuvering thrusters at exactly the same moment. 400 vessels shifted position in perfect coordination, the thrust from their engines visible to every sensor. Still think we're projections? Ryan asked. Vektar didn't answer. He was conferring with his officers, voices raised in argument. Finally, he turned back to the screen. You have more ships than we expected. This changes nothing. Quality defeats quantity, does it? Ryan gestured and Amy brought up the next demonstration. Captain Megan Foster, are you ready? On a secondary screen, another human officer appeared. She commanded the UES Resilience, positioned near one of the Kalrathi battleships. Ready, Captain Scott. Proceed with electronic warfare demonstration. Megan's fingers danced across her controls. Activating now. On the Kalrathi flagship, alarms began blaring. Non-critical systems flickered. Lights dimmed. Vektar's view screen went dark for 3 seconds before coming back online. What are you doing? The Admiral roared. Just showing you our electronic warfare capabilities, Ryan said calmly. We temporarily disabled some of your systems. Nothing important, just enough to prove we could do it. Your shields didn't stop our signal because it's not a weapon. It's data. Vektar was shaking now, whether from fear or rage Ryan couldn't tell. You attack us during a peaceful demonstration? We didn't attack, Ryan corrected. If we attacked, we would have disabled your weapons, shields, and engines. We shut off your internal lighting and communication for 3 seconds. There's a difference, he leaned forward. Admiral, let me be very clear. Every system you consider secure, we can hack. Every shield you think protects you, we can bypass or penetrate. Every weapon you aim at us, we can target and destroy before you fire. Commander Luke Morris took over the next part. His ship, the UES Phoenix, moved into position. Missile demonstration beginning now. 40 missiles launched from the Phoenix, spreading out in space. But these weren't simple rockets. Each missile communicated with the others through encrypted channels. They began moving in coordinated patterns like a school of fish. Target drones appeared. The missiles attacked in perfect synchronization. Some approached from the front, drawing point defense fire. Others curved around from the sides. Still others waited, then struck from behind after the defenses were focused elsewhere. Every target was destroyed. Not one missile was intercepted. Our missiles think, Luke explained. They adapt. They coordinate. Shoot down 10, and the other 30 adjust their attack pattern in real time. Vectar was silent now, watching as humans systematically demonstrated that every advantage the Calrathi thought they had was an illusion. Engineer Beth Collins came on screen next. "Admiral, I understand your battleship armor is 20 meters of compressed alloy. Very impressive. We use similar materials on our hulls." A target plate appeared in space identical to Calrathi armor. Beth's ship fired a single railgun round. The projectile was small, just 50 kilograms of dense metal, but it was moving at nearly 1% the speed of light. The round hit the first armor plate and punched straight through. It hit the second plate and kept going. The third plate barely slowed it down. "Kinetic energy," Beth explained cheerfully, "is a wonderful thing. Your shields can't stop solid matter moving this fast. Your armor can't absorb the impact. We can fire these rounds every 2 seconds per gun, and each of our destroyers has 8 railguns." Ryan let that sink in. 8 guns per ship. 400 ships. Thousands of rounds that could punch through anything the Calrathi could build. "I think," Ryan said quietly, "we've made our point. Admiral Vectar, humanity didn't build these ships to conquer. We built them to defend, but make no mistake, we know how to use them." Vectar stared at him for a long moment. "This demonstration is over." "Not quite," a new voice said. Admiral Greg Turner's face appeared on every screen, both human and Calrathi. His ship, the UES Sentinel, emerged from behind Jupiter's moon. It was larger than the other human vessels, a true flagship built for command and control. "Admiral Vectar," Greg said, his voice carrying the weight of authority. "I'm Fleet Admiral Turner, Commander of Earth's Defensive Forces. Thank you for attending our demonstration. I hope it's been educational." Vectar's expression was difficult to read. Anger mixed with fear, pride fighting against the reality of what he'd witnessed. "You have made your point, human. You have ships. You have weapons. But you have not faced the full might of the Calrathi Dominion." "True," Greg agreed easily. "Just like you haven't faced the full might of humanity. But that's not really what this is about, is it?" "What do you mean?" Greg gestured, and holographic displays appeared showing battle scenarios. "You came to Earth expecting easy submission. You've conquered 17 worlds, and I'm guessing most of them surrendered after seeing your fleet. Maybe a few fought back, but they didn't really know how to fight. Not like we do." Steve Richards, the Sentinel's tactical coordinator, took over the presentation. He was a thin man with sharp eyes who had spent 20 years studying military history. "Admiral, we've analyzed every Calrathi battle on record. Your tactics are impressive for ceremonial combat. You position your largest ships in visible locations. You give warnings before attacking. You expect enemies to mass their forces and meet you directly." The hologram showed Calrathi conquest patterns. Every battle followed similar rules. "It's almost ritualistic," Steve continued. "Honor-based. Your empire was probably founded by warriors who valued courage and direct confrontation." Vectar said nothing, but his expression confirmed it. "Humans don't fight like that," Greg said bluntly. "We fight to win. No honor, no ceremony, no warnings. We developed warfare on a single planet where 7 continents evolved independently. For thousands of years, we fought each other. We learned every dirty trick, every tactical advantage, every psychological weapon." He pulled up Earth's military history, wars, endless wars. We had empires rise and fall. We invented gunpowder, then guns, then bombs that could destroy entire cities. We nearly killed ourselves a dozen times, and every time we survived, we learned something new about how to fight smarter. Dr. Nathan Brooks appeared on another screen. He was a weapons researcher, wearing a lab coat even on a military vessel. He looked more like a professor than someone who designed instruments of destruction. "Admiral Vectar, can I ask you something? When was the last time the Calrathi Dominion fought a war against an equal opponent?" Vector hesitated. 30 years ago, we defeated the Xanther Collective." "And how advanced were they?" "They had space travel. Energy weapons. Defensive satellites," Nathan nodded. "So, less advanced than you. What about before that?" Vectar's silence was answer enough. "That's what I thought," Nathan said. "Your empire expanded by conquering civilizations that were weaker than you. You never developed tactics for fighting equals because you never needed to. You show up, you intimidate, you win." He smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. "Humans have been fighting equals for our entire existence. Sometimes we fought opponents stronger than us. We learned to compensate with strategy, with technology, with pure determination." Greg took control again. "Let me show you how humans fight." The hologram shifted, showing tactical scenarios. This is what we call distributed warfare. Every ship in our fleet can operate independently. Destroy our flagship and the fleet doesn't collapse. Every captain knows the mission. Every crew can adapt. The simulation showed human ships breaking into small groups, attacking from multiple angles, disappearing and reappearing in different locations. We don't mass our forces where you can target them. We scatter, we hide, we strike from unexpected angles. Cowardly, Vectar muttered. Effective, Greg corrected. In war, only two things matter: protecting your people and defeating your enemy. Everything else is just ego. Steve brought up more data. Your battleships are impressive, Admiral. But they're also vulnerable. Each ship operates as an independent platform. If we disable one, it's out of the fight. Our ships have redundant systems across the entire fleet. We can lose 30% of our forces and maintain full combat effectiveness. You're also slow, Luke Morris added from the Phoenix. Your battleships are built for durability, not speed. Our destroyers can outmaneuver you 3-1. In a real battle, you'd never catch us unless we wanted you to. Vectar was gripping his command chair now, knuckles pale. This is all theoretical. Battle simulations. You have never actually fought, haven't we? Greg pulled up historical footage. Human conflicts. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Afghanistan. Proxy wars and civil wars and revolutions. We fought each other for thousands of years. We know what works and what doesn't. The footage showed human tactics evolving. Trench warfare, blitzkrieg, guerrilla combat, naval battles, air superiority, nuclear deterrence. Every generation of humans refined warfare further. We learned from our mistakes. We adapted, and then we stopped fighting each other, Greg continued. 30 years ago, Earth unified under one government. We redirected all that military knowledge toward a single purpose: defending humanity from external threats. Nathan spoke up again. The ships you see here represent only Earth's defensive fleet. We have 3 more fleets in reserve, and our manufacturing capacity. He pulled up production statistics. We can build ships faster than you can destroy them. Our shipyards run continuously. Automated construction, resource extraction from asteroids. We learned efficiency from industrial warfare. You're bluffing, Vectar said, but he didn't sound convinced. Am I? Greg smiled. Here's something interesting. You broadcast this demonstration to your empire, right? All 17 conquered worlds are watching? Vectar's face went rigid. He hadn't considered the implications. They're seeing your mighty fleet surrounded by human vessels, Greg said. They're watching us demonstrate technology you can't match. They're learning that the Calrathi Dominion isn't invincible. He leaned forward. How long do you think those worlds will stay conquered once they know you can be challenged? Ralthos was speaking urgently to Vectar in their language. The Admiral's expression shifted from anger to worry to something like panic. He finally understood the real danger here. This was never about defeating your fleet, Greg said quietly. We could have destroyed you at any point in the last 6 hours. Our ships were in position before you arrived. We could have opened fire before you knew we were here. He gestured at the surrounding fleet. But we didn't, because humans don't want war. We've seen enough war. We know what it costs. We know how it destroys civilizations. Then what do you want? Vectar demanded. Respect, Greg said simply. We want you to understand that Earth is not easy prey. We're not helpless. We're not another world you can add to your empire through intimidation. Steve brought up the final presentation. Here's what happens if you attack Earth. We destroy your fleet here now before you can report back. Then we track your jump signature back to your nearest base and destroy it too. We use our stealth technology to infiltrate Calrathi space and eliminate your military infrastructure. The simulation showed human ships appearing throughout Calrathi territory, striking shipyards and command centers, disappearing before reinforcements could arrive. Within 6 months, Steve said coldly, the Calrathi Dominion ceases to exist as a military power. Your conquered worlds revolt. Your empire fragments. Your civilization survives, but your authority ends. You cannot... Vectar started. We can, Greg interrupted. But we don't want to. We didn't come to this meeting to threaten you, Admiral. We came to show you that humanity can defend itself. What happens next is up to you. He straightened in his chair. You have a choice. You can attack us and everything I just described becomes reality. Or you can accept that humanity is not interested in being conquered, and we can discuss a different kind of relationship. What kind of relationship? Vectar asked carefully. The kind where we're not enemies, Greg said. Maybe even the kind where we're allies. We have technology you want. You have knowledge we need. There's no reason we can't trade, share information, help each other. After this humiliation, Vectar gestured at the surrounding fleet. You expect me to negotiate? I expect you to be smart, Greg said. You're a military commander. You understand odds. You know when to fight and when to withdraw. This isn't surrender, Admiral. This is recognizing reality and adapting to it. Vectar was silent for a long moment, then he turned to Ralthos and spoke in their language. His tactical officer responded, pointing at displays showing data. The conversation was tense, urgent. Finally, Vectar turned back. What do you propose? The silence stretched across space for nearly a minute. 400 human warships surrounded 25 Kalrathi battleships waiting. On Earth, billions watched their screens, holding their breath. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Greg Turner waited patiently. He'd said his piece, made his offer. Now it was up to Vectar to decide whether the Kalrathi would be enemies or something else. Before we discuss proposals, Vectar said slowly, I want clarification. You say you could have destroyed us at any point. Prove it. Greg raised an eyebrow. You want us to attack you? No. Vectar's expression was hard to read. I want to know if your confidence is justified. You humans make many claims. Bold words. Impressive demonstrations. But actual combat is different from target practice. What do you suggest? Vectar considered carefully. A test. One of my battleships against one of your destroyers. Not to destruction. First ship to land 3 killing blows wins. Your weapons against our shields and armor. Our weapons against your technology. Ralthos leaned in, speaking urgently to Vectar in the Kalrathi language. Greg couldn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear. The tactical officer thought this was a bad idea. That's an interesting proposal, Greg said, but unnecessary. We've already proven our capabilities. You've proven you can hit stationary targets and hack basic systems. Vectar countered. I need to know if you can actually fight. If you refuse this test, I'll assume your demonstrations were elaborate tricks. Greg glanced at Steve Richards. His tactical coordinator ran quick calculations, then nodded. The odds were overwhelmingly in humanity's favor. Captain Scott, Greg said, turning to Ryan aboard the Valiant, are you willing to accept this challenge? Ryan looked at his crew. Amy Jordan checked her weapon systems. Chris Palmer reviewed their defensive capabilities. They were ready. Yes, sir, Ryan said. We accept. Rules, Greg said to Vectar. No live ammunition. Both ships use training systems that calculate damage without actual destruction. 3 confirmed killing blows wins. If either ship suffers catastrophic theoretical damage, the fight ends immediately. Agreed, Vectar nodded. Agreed. My ship, the Devourer, will face your Valiant. We begin in 10 minutes. The fleets pulled back, creating a clear space for the duel. Ryan's crew worked quickly, switching weapons to simulation mode. Across from them, the Kalrathi battleship Devourer powered up, its shields glowing bright blue. They're 3 times our size, Chris observed. Size isn't everything, Amy replied, running targeting solutions. We're faster, more maneuverable, and our weapons hit harder per unit mass. Ryan studied the Kalrathi ship. It was beautiful in its own way, all curved armor and elegant design, built to inspire awe. The Valiant, by contrast, was angular and practical, built purely for function. Remember, Ryan said to his crew, we're not trying to humiliate them. We just need to prove we can defend ourselves. 3 quick hits, clean and professional. 30 seconds, Chris announced. Ryan took a deep breath. Billions of humans watching. 17 conquered alien civilizations watching. The entire Kalrathi Dominion watching. No pressure at all. Begin. Greg's voice rang out. The Devourer opened fire immediately, exactly as Steve had predicted. Massive energy beams lanced across space, bright and impressive. The Kalrathi fought like they did everything else, direct, powerful, overwhelming. Chris jinked the Valiant sideways. The beams missed by comfortable margins. Kalrathi targeting systems were good, but they were designed for opponents who stood and traded blows. Amy, railgun solution, Ryan ordered calmly. Locked. Firing. The Valiant's railgun spoke. A small projectile accelerated to incredible speed, crossing the distance in a fraction of a second. It struck the Devourer's shields dead center. The simulation registered the impact. Shields at 60%. One more like that and we punch through, Amy reported. The Devourer fired again, this time predicting the Valiant's movement. Energy beams bracketed the human ship. One grazed their port side. Alarms blared. Shields at 80%, Chris called out. They hit us. Good shooting, Ryan admitted. Amy, missile spread. Let's show them why point defense isn't enough. 6 missiles launched, each with its own AI guidance system. They spread out, approaching from different angles. The Devourer's point defense turrets engaged, shooting down 3 missiles quickly. The other 3 adapted immediately, changing course and speed. One drew fire while the other 2 struck from opposite sides. The simulation calculated the damage. The Devourer's shields dropped to 20%. Shields critical, Ralthos reported aboard the Kalrathi flagship. One more substantial hit and they fail. Vectar leaned forward, watching intently. The human ship was moving in patterns his gunners couldn't predict. Every time they aimed, it was somewhere else. Use the gravity cannon, he ordered the Devourer's captain. The Kalrathi battleship's main weapon charged, a massive energy projector that could crack planetary shields. It fired, a beam of concentrated force that could vaporize a city. The Valiant was already moving. Chris had seen the weapon charging and predicted where it would aim. The beam missed by 200 meters. Their big gun is slow to recharge, Amy observed. 20-second cycle time. We can fire 6 times before they're ready again. Ryan nodded. Do it. Railguns and missiles, coordinated strike. The Valiant unleashed everything. Railgun rounds punched through the Devourer's weakened shields like paper. Missiles struck armor plating, their theoretical warheads calculating catastrophic damage. The simulation ran its numbers. The Devourer's engines failed. Weapons went offline. Life support remained, but combat capability dropped to 0. Killing blow confirmed, Greg announced. The Devourer is theoretically destroyed. Match goes to the Valiant. Total engagement time 93 seconds. Aboard the Kalrathi flagship, Vectar sat in stunned silence. His best battleship, crewed by experienced warriors, defeated in less than 2 minutes by a ship 1/3 its size. Their tactical officer was correct, Ralthos said quietly. Our battle computers estimate a 73% probability of fleet destruction if hostilities commence. That estimate appears conservative. Vectar looked at the human fleet surrounding him. 400 ships like the Valiant, 400 crews trained to fight like this, and somewhere 3 more fleets waiting in reserve. Open a channel to Admiral Turner, he said. Greg's face appeared on the screen. He wasn't gloating, Ryan noticed. Just calm and professional. You have proven your point, Vectar said, decisively. I formally request negotiations for... He paused, and Ryan could see how much this cost the proud alien. For a mutual defense pact and technology exchange. Request accepted, Greg said. President Walsh is standing by. Linda Walsh's face appeared beside Greg's. She looked tired but determined. Admiral Vectar, I'm glad you're willing to negotiate. War serves no one's interests. Except humanity's, apparently, Vectar said. There was no malice in his voice, just acknowledgement of reality. You have made us look weak in front of our conquered worlds. Conquered, Linda repeated. That's an interesting word. Admiral, Earth has a proposal. We'll share certain defensive technologies with the Kalrathi. In return, you give us access to your star drive technology and star charts, and you restructure your dominion. Restructure how? Give the 17 worlds genuine autonomy, Linda said. Let them choose whether to remain part of your civilization or become independent. Offer them partnership instead of conquest. Vectar's eyes widened. You ask me to dismantle my empire? I ask you to transform it, Linda corrected. From an empire to a federation. Allies, not subjects. The Kalrathi have advanced technology and organizational skills. Those worlds might choose to stay with you if you give them the choice, and if they don't, then they deserve freedom, Linda said simply. We won't help you oppress them, Admiral. But we will help you build something better. Vectar was silent for a long moment. This is not a negotiation. This is dictating terms. This is offering you a future, Greg said. You can fight and lose everything. Or you can adapt and gain a powerful ally. Humans don't want to conquer you. We want to trade with you, learn from you. Explore the galaxy together. Why? Vectar asked. Why offer us anything after demonstrating such superiority? Linda smiled sadly. Because we know what endless war looks like, Admiral. We nearly destroyed ourselves with it. We learned slowly and painfully. that cooperation accomplishes more than conquest. We're offering you a chance to learn that lesson without the pain. Commander Jake Morrison appeared on another screen. Admiral, I was at our first meeting. You tried to intimidate us into submission. It didn't work. But that doesn't mean we have to be enemies. The galaxy is huge. There's room for both our civilizations to thrive. Claire Bennett joined him. We're offering friendship, Admiral. Real friendship based on mutual respect. You'll keep your territory, your culture, your identity. You'll just share power instead of hoarding it. Vectar looked at Ralthos. His tactical officer studied the data, then nodded slowly. The math was simple. Fighting meant destruction. Negotiating meant survival. I will need to consult with my government, Vectar said finally. Of course, Linda agreed. Take all the time you need. Our offer stands. 6 months later, the transformation was complete. The Kalrathi Dominion,